Pistons moved backwards last night. After two really strong games, one against the Celtics in which they dominated the glass defensively, all the good stuff, all the hustle stats in favor of the Pistons in that one Sunday, and a gut-wrenching, not even a gut-wrenching, but like a hard-fought victory, a gritty, tough win on Friday night against the Rockets. I was feeling pretty good about this team, and then Cleveland came to town last night and took the Pistons, grabbed them by the shirt, lifted them up, and just ragdolled them for 48 minutes. That was one of the worst losses the Pistons have had in quite some time. It felt like it was going to be, right from the jump, ugly, because the Pistons have gotten off to all these bad starts in these games, even going back to game number 1 against Chicago when the Bulls just rolled them early. It felt like one of those. You think to yourself, maybe they can fight back into it because that's what they've done every game so far. And that wasn't the case. They never fought their way back into it. And it was ugly right from the jump. It was ugly in the middle. And it was ugly at the end. The lack of another ball handler other than Cade Cunningham once again was on full display last night. And that seems to be a real problem for the Pistons. And I know we touched on this last week, and it wasn't as much of an issue against the Rockets and the Celtics. However, it was a pretty blatant issue last night against this Cavs team who brings a ton of defense to the table. If Cade's not being a superstar, which he certainly has not been, and we'll get into that in a second, it feels like this team's going to have a very hard time scoring, even with Asar Thompson taking that step forward and Ron Holland being a little bit more of a threat to shoot. And Isaiah Stewart shooting 50% from the outside. Them not having someone to initiate the offense when Cade's not out there is pretty detrimental to this team right now.
Well, and I think it's especially detrimental last night because we've talked about how that's been the biggest concern with this Pistons team this year, and we've recognized that, and the Cavs for sure recognize that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, from the jump, it was like we're not even going to allow Cade to get the basketball. They're denying him the ball, off ball, insanely hard. We are letting everyone else shoot. I mean, every time Ron Holland caught the ball on the wing, it was just we don't care. You want to let it fly, go for it. And they were like that with a lot of guys other than Duncan Robinson, essentially. So it's tough when these other defenses start to realize the weaknesses of this Pistons team. I still think that at some point, like even just getting Marcus Sasser back is going to help just alleviate some pressure because it takes away some of the minutes from a Dennis Jenkins or when Karis LeVert returns to this lineup as well. But yeah, to me, the Cade stuff hasn't been as concerning strictly because it's very easy to recognize this team has zero creation and just ball handling ability outside of Cade right now. So it's easy for defenses to just from the jump hone in on Cade and make everybody else do something.
Well, yesterday with Cade, they weren't even allowing him to bring the ball up the floor. They were denying him from underneath the basket, and then it led to Jalen Duren or Isaiah Stewart bringing the ball up the floor, sometimes Tobias Harris.
Turnovers.
What do you expect when that happens, though? Like, I love Stu, I love Duren, but those guys can't bring the ball up the floor. Duren can be a little bit of a hub 15 feet from the basket and run some offense through him, and he can rack up some assists that way or play a little one-on-one when he's that close. But when he has to bring the ball up 94 feet, you're asking for turnovers to happen, and he was trying to do way too much instead of just slow the game down. He was trying to push the ball because that's how the Pistons want to play. Same with Isaiah Stewart, and it just led to some of the ugliest turnovers you can possibly see, something that has riddled the Pistons here for the last year and a half. And the Cade stuff at this point, we're 4 games in, and he just hasn't looked very good. Like, let's just be quite frank with it. He's looked good in some of the fourth quarters of these games. He's taken a while to get going in the first 3. And then last night he was like, you know what, I'm going to insert myself early. But he was really bad. He started the game 1 for 10. He couldn't finish at the rim. So, yeah, they were denying him, but he was attempting to get himself going, and it felt like it was hurting the team more than it was helping the team in some ways.
Right, but I also think, like, them not having anyone else is the main reason behind this. Like, I don't think it's just Cade has been off to a slow start just because of his ability or just shots aren't falling. Like, I think just the tax that has been put on him. I mean, you look at the minutes that he's playing so far this season as well, strictly because there's no other guards to play. He's playing nearly 40 minutes every game. That's unsustainable. You know, he's a guy that obviously should be in the mid-30s range, around 35, which is still high, but not when we get in this north 30s numbers to the 40s, especially with the stretches that he has to play. You're playing basically the whole first quarter, and then the terrible lineup that they put out to start the second quarter every time.
Awful.
It's like, man, we got to get Cade in immediately, or else we're going to be down by 20 in an instant. And last night they were, and they were unable to claw their way back out of it. So, yeah, I think it's a mix of, for sure, I agree that Cade hasn't been awesome to start the year. He could definitely knock down some more shots. But the defense is so easy to game plan against the Pistons offense right now for opposing teams, just because let's make anybody else do anything on this team and not be Cade, because right now there's just not a lot of options for Detroit. I'm not super worried because they're going to get Ivy back at some point, but
when? That's the big issue.
And
we don't really know when that's happening.
And we are going to get the Duncan Robinson games for sure.
We're also going to get the games where he doesn't show up, and those feel if he
doesn't
show up, it's you're not winning.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
The games shouldn't come down to whether or not Duncan Robinson is making shots. That kind of speaks to the roster that you have.
But last year, a lot of the games came down to, can Malik Beasley be the hot guy off the bench? And he did it way more times than not. And we're not going to get that this year with Duncan Robinson. So, and I hate to keep bringing that up, but even on the broadcast last night on Peacock,
they were hammering the Malik Beasley
They were
thing.
really bringing up the Malik Beasley stuff. But it's true. He was just able to stop them from going on these ruts or these 5-minute stretches where there's no creators in the game. If Beasley can just come in and knock down 3 threes, all of a sudden, we're just staying in a game.
Well, even Tim Hardaway Jr., too. It's that's just someone to space the floor. Right now, when they have Duncan Robinson to do that, but that is it. They have guys that are capable of hitting threes, like Tobias Harris. And Ron Holland, like I said, is taking a step forward, but they're not guys that, truly space the floor in a way that either of those other guys that we mentioned were. Even Schroeder.
Yeah, exactly. And to the point of Duncan Robinson, it's putting more pressure on him as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the times he is in the game and he is the only guy that is the main three-point shooter on the lineup. So he goes from a guy that, of course, he's been a high-volume three-point shooter his whole career, but when he's the only guy on the floor that they are trusting to shoot threes and they kind of need to manufacture threes, and he's the only guy that can do that, that puts a ton of pressure on him as well. So, yeah, right now just the situation for the Pistons isn't great as far as injury and rotations go. Once Ivy comes back, you really hope that things can pick up, but it also just feels like, we're not going to do trade talks this early into the season, but it's just it feels like they definitely need some pieces if they want to be back where they were last year.
I never would have imagined Jaden Ivey, who wasn't really a part of this run last year, would be this important to this basketball team. Trajan Langdon put all his eggs in the basket of development of players, which I think Ron Holland, Asar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, who's probably past development at this point, but has added the three-point shot. Yeah, Duren. All those guys look better. So hands down Trajan Langdon for bringing everybody back and not going all in to make a Lowry Markkanen trade or something. I think it was a good move. But in doing so, you're also putting all your eggs in the Jaden Ivey basket as well, and really banking on him to come back and make an impact, because you let Schroeder, and you didn't let Beasley walk. That was kind of a different situation. But you let Tim Hardaway walk. You let Schroeder walk. And you said, hey, we're getting Jaden Ivey back. This is someone we believe in, or at least we think can provide that spark. Him not being there is really hurting the Pistons in a way that I never would have imagined going into the season.
Last year they were really good without him.
Right.
They were 10 games above 500 after they lost him last year. And so you thought that maybe they would at least be able to get off to a better start, but that's to the fact of it's not a Jaden Ivey thing. It's a no Malik Beasley, no Dennis Schroeder thing.
Right.
And I think we talked about this in the offseason. That was the Pistons' biggest move of the offseason. They're getting back Ivey. It's not, they don't need to go trade or make a big splash because they're getting back Jaden Ivey, and that's a huge addition to this team, and they haven't had that addition yet so far, so we definitely need him to get healthy.
And I know the Pistons have this defensive identity. He certainly doesn't help that. And by the way, Cade last night, the defense that I know he didn't have a good offensive game, but the defense is just, I don't think there's a guard in the NBA that's better at protecting the rim than Cade. It's like once a game now he's chasing someone down in transition and getting a block. But, Ivey's going to hurt the defense. They need so much of a spark on offense that I don't know if it matters. Now, how they mix up the minutes, I think it's going to be really interesting, because is it Ron Holland's minutes that go down? Is it just simply cutting out a Dennis Jenkins out of the lineup? I don't know. But what we do know is we've never really had Cade, Asar, Ron, Ivey, Duren, Stu all healthy together. And that's to throw, you got to throw in Tobias in there too. Those guys have never played together. So the Pistons are going to have a lot to figure out. JB Bickerstaff's going to have a lot on his plate, but they need Ivey back. More than we possibly could have imagined. 989-837-6125. We'll hit the news when we come back. This is the Ben Bosscher Show live right here on 100.9. The Mitt Pistons going to be on the move here soon. 2 more home games, though, in this homestand. They've got the Magic tomorrow and then the Mavericks on Saturday at 10 p.m. Oh, no, that's not at home. It's listed as a home game. You know where this one is?
Mexico City, right?
Mexico City.
Yes.
Saturday against the Mavs.
Let's go.
Against Cooper Flag. I just wish that wasn't at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that does kind of stink. But it's on Saturday night, you said?
Yeah, and we lose a home game because of it, too.
I mean, they get a bunch of them. It's more concerning to guys like Brad than us, you know?
Yeah. Still, though, I'd rather play the Mavericks at home. Like,
Well, yeah,
we're not going to have any fans in Mexico City.
And it's like your one chance to go watch Cooper Flag, too, you know? Like, if you're Detroit, you know, because you're not going to host Dallas this year now.
I would imagine that's essentially an away game. Like, it's not going to be in Dallas's arena, but there's going to be all Mavs fans there, right?
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of tough.
2 national TV games for the Pistons this early on, though.
What network is that Saturday game on?
I'd have to look.
Oh, okay.
I don't have it out right in my notes right here. Peacock.
Nice.
Pistons on Peacock, man.
I wonder what people thought about the Peacock broadcast last night. They split up the color analysts. They put Austin Rivers on the Cavs bench, Robbie Hummel on the Pistons bench, Noah Eagle sitting all by himself. I thought it was pretty cool. Like, I thought it obviously could be a little bit tattered with, but I liked the idea.
I liked the idea,
Creative.
but I thought about it, and I was like, this is really just killing the idea of having a reporter, though.
Well, yeah, they didn't.
Like, you're just cutting a job.
They just didn't have a reporter, yeah.
Right, because both of the color guys were
They just
serving
were
as
the reporters.
as
Yeah,
well.
they were just like talking about what happened in the timeout, which I thought, I mean, it was cool. Like, it definitely was an interesting idea. I like the creativity from Peacock.
I was a fan of the pregame with Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady and Carmelo actually teaching basketball and explaining why the Pistons offense has struggled and how much pressure's on Cade, rather than just kind of, making a joke of not being able to name, like, it's half the coaches in the league.
Who do they got even?
Yeah.
They need to step up.
I feel like we were actually learning about basketball in pregame, which was a big shakeup.
It was good, yeah.
Or rather than just calling guys soft.
It was a long pregame, too. Right, exactly.
Shaq, thank you.
Can't wait to get Michael Jordan's thoughts on load management tonight, by the way. That's coming tonight, man. I'm going to be tuned in for that.
989-837-6125. Pistons